as you know, every chapter ends with a section called Selling You. And in the chapter for approach, it is called as What's Your Elevator Pitch for Your Brand? So you are a salesperson, you are trying to become a salesperson, and you have to go and appear in interviews. When it comes to these interviews, they have to know who you are, okay? And one of the first questions you will get in these interviews is, tell me about yourself. And for that, how are you going to answer? And here is some suggestion. You have to mention your name and your past, that is your education and previous work experience, and presently if you are working somewhere you can mention that, and how your experiences relate to the currently available position that you are interviewing for. That is one way to do that. And there are also other ways of doing it. For instance, there is a short video clip about 4.5 minutes. So let's go ahead and watch that, and it will give you an idea of how to learn and how to practice and how to create your own elevator pitch.
One of my favorite things to write was the pitch chapter because, I'm a writer and I find myself pitching all the time, and I wanted to learn how to do it better. I identified 6 new pitches for the 21st century. So the Pixar pitch is modeled on the narrative structure of Pixar films, and a story artist for Pixar named Emma Coates essentially revealed the source code of this. Once upon a time, every day, one day, because of that, until finally, blank. Just fill in those blanks, and it ends up being powerful. We don't see the world only as a set of logical propositions. We see it as a set of episodes, and by enlisting the power of story in a pitch, which is something we don't do that much, it ends up being a very, very effective way to get your message across. Email is a pitch. Get over it. An email is a pitch. It's a plea for attention. It's a plea to engage. The effective email subject lines fall into 2 categories. They have to be either the category of utility, they're very useful to people, or curiosity. They pique people's curiosity. Anything in between, anything that combines the two, doesn't work very well. Obama did this very well in the campaign. He sent out a lot of emails, but the most popular email, the subject line was, hey. Whoa. Think about how many times you open an email that doesn't have a subject line. Some people end up opening those first. Wow, because they're curious. One of my favorites is the rhyming pitch. Seems kind of cheesy, if not sleazy, which rhymes. Rhymes end up increasing what's called processing fluency. And when people are able to process something more fluently, they absorb it more, they understand it better. There was a trial of O.J. Simpson, the former football star, who was accused of murdering his wife and her friend. They found a glove on the crime scene. And so the prosecutor said, well, of course it's your glove, try it on, and he can't get the glove on his hand. In the closing statement, the late Johnny Cochran said to the jury, if it doesn't fit, you must acquit. What's remarkable now is that 18 years later, people remember that. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit. Questions are active.
Okay, so they are the important things that I wanted to kind of highlight, and you can continue watching it on your own. Okay, so there is a Pixar pitch where you are kind of giving an background of what is happening and how you will be able to make a credible difference by solving a particular problem. That is that Pixar pitch. And also you can talk about creating some rhyming sentences so that people will remember you. And I have heard as part of marketing, they want you to remember just one word about that particular brand. Okay, for instance, when it comes to Coca-Cola, it is just happiness. When it comes to Nike, it is just do it. That's all people remember, and that becomes their brand. Similarly, when you are a person, you can also have your own brand. And what is your brand? Is it hardworking, or is it like highly influential, or you are like a social media genius? So you have to know what your brand is, and you have to kind of come up with various ways of communicating it to other people. Now remember that in addition to in terms of your elevator pitch, you can talk about who are you, what your experience and skills you have, what makes you unique. That is the most important thing. Everybody will say, I am a hard worker, I am a serious thinker, and things like that. But what makes you unique? You are the only person from that particular town who had gone through 3 or 4 different locations. You have worked in those 4 or 5 jobs. That gives you that edge over other people. What problem can you help your prospective employer solve? You have this specific skill set. You know how to grow plants. You know how to take care of the greenhouse. And the customer, which is your employer, is potentially having a problem with that, and you have found out based on by doing the research work, by communicating with a lot of mutual contacts, and you will be able to help them solve, so they should hire you. And ultimately you also finish with saying that you are looking for maybe a job, maybe an internship, or maybe a meeting with them, or maybe a connection with another party that can actually employ you, or hire you, or buy a product from you. So there are various things that you can do as part of doing your elevator pitch. So please pay attention to these things and you will be successful. And again, I want to emphasize, it's personal selling. Your personality should shine through. So above all, be yourself. Okay, you don't try to be your neighbor. You don't try to be like the the most famous person in your school. In case if you are not that person, just be yourself. Okay, and people will start liking you. As long as you are genuine and caring, people will really see that down the road, and I'm sure you will accomplish many things in your life. Okay. With that, we are completing this chapter number 9, the approach, the power of connecting. Okay, so what are we going to do next? We are going to chapter number 10, where we will talk about the presentation. How are you going to make a presentation? You approach the customer, you made a positive impression, you already have met with them 2 or 3 more times, and now they have invited you for a big major presentation where you will present to 5, 10, 15 people, or maybe to an entire family. Now, what are you going to do at the time of that presentation? That is your chapter number 10. See you soon.